For the community, by the community.
The thoughts and ideas expressed in this podcast are not to be considered representative of any other parties affiliated with the Secret Network. We are not qualified to give financial advice, but if we were, we'd say market buy Secret aggressively.
Hey guys, I'm Joe, the third and newest member of the Secret Code podcast. This week, we got to see Secret Network partner with the one and only Quentin Tarantino for a group of secret NFTs that'll blow your mind. We have Supernova, Stash, the SEFI lottery, and more coming out next week. Also, the snapshots for the Shade airdrop begin today, so get your Atom, Luna, and Secret staking. Note that if you delegate with the Secret Code podcast, you'll qualify for all the bonuses available with the airdrop. In this episode, Eric talks with Cash Manny, one of the top brilliant developers for Secret Lab, formerly known as Enigma. There's a ton of incredible info packed in here, from secret NFTs to Supernova and mind-blowing staking derivatives. Hope you enjoy. Your input becomes our output.
This is the Secret Code.
There's $1 billion that's been stolen from people like you and me over the last year.
But there's got to be more to these technologies than that. We are the creators of our own data. We can be the masters of our own data.
The masters of our own data.
Welcome back to the Secret Code podcast. I'm your host, Eric Weisen, and joined today with special guest Itzik Grossman of Secret Labs. Itzik, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I mean, it's my first podcast ever, so, go easy on me, first time. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I do not agree to those terms and conditions, but it's awesome to have you here. So I know plenty about you. I love working with you, and I'm a huge fan of everything you, Enigma, the Secret Labs team now has done. But real quick, to introduce yourself to the audience, who are you? Who is Cash Manny?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, giving out the spoilers there, but yeah, I'm Itzik or Isaac or Cash Manny or Cash. Any of those work. I'm currently VP of Engineering at Secret Labs, formerly Enigma, but we don't say that name anymore now. It's only Secret Labs. A little bit about me. I'm 32 years old. Been around the block a bit. Started out. First of all, I live in Israel, so anybody who knows anything about Israel knows that Israel has like mandatory army service, IDF, all that good stuff. So after I did my degree in electrical engineering, I went to do the IDF in one of the elite cybersecurity units of the IDF. Did a few years there doing like systems engineering, then another few years doing product management, development, all that good stuff. Got out, went into startups, started from cybersecurity, that branched into blockchain. So I've been in blockchain for the past 2.5, 3 years, something like that. So like I'm a newbie, like, I'm the new age, crypto guys. And I've been with Secret Labs for the past year or so. So basically, since the Cosmos relaunch, Secret Network, all that good stuff. So yeah, I've been here for pretty much the whole story. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk and we'll see if it's interesting to people.
Yeah, a couple things I'd like to touch on there is you actually started up your own node and started up the Explorer before you joined Enigma. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I've worked with Guy a bit even before I was in Secret Labs, and I was there like in the room when the network was launched. And I was like looking around, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool, So I'm not in Enigma, Secret Labs, I'm not part of it, but it would be cool to do something on the side. So I was looking around. I was like, hey, running a validator could be pretty cool. Let's do that. I mean, so I started that up. And then I noticed like there was no good Explorer at the time. So I just like forked some open source repo and then like just, threw it on there. And that was like, that was pretty useful for like the early stages of the network, and also helped me, get familiar with the ecosystem and, how it is like working from a validator perspective as well, which is a bit different from, what we do as, core network developers. So it was a good experience. The Cash Money Explorer is sadly no longer with us. It just became too much work to maintain. I might bring it back after the network upgrade, but we'll see about that. It depends how much work it is, basically.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been around for 4 years, but I wasn't nearly as involved as I am today. And so I loved seeing your Explorer, and yours was the first node I've delegated to yours. And then Whisper node with Brendan, who's an awesome contributor. And I was just so stoked being able to do the swap myself and being able to like actually use an Explorer for Secret. And it's just fun memories. And now we've got secretnodes.com up and running, a great Explorer, and so much more going on in the network. But a little bit more about yourself real quick. What are a couple of unique traits that you think exclusively define you that aren't necessarily super generic that would apply to everyone?
Oh, wow. Interview questions already. I hope I don't have to give 2 negative traits after this one. Yeah, so I think the first one is maybe something that something that sort of like a lot of Israelis can sort of also that it also applies to them, is the love of getting shit done. Can we swear on the show? Is this PG-13?
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah. So yeah, it's like getting shit done. It's like that mindset of like, we have something that we want to build, and how do we get it done? Like, let's not get tied down by trying to this is something like that happens a lot on blockchain. It's like you get tied down or with some vision, and you want to create this perfect solution, and it ends up taking a long time. Nobody at Enigma is familiar with that, of course, but
never.
There is like personally, I like getting something out there, getting something in people's hands, get them fiddling with it, see what works, what doesn't work. And that's really what, that was sort of our, ethos going into Secret Network is, there are some projects doing privacy out there, but I mean, it's sort of like a blue ocean in terms of, what are people going to create? What are they going to build? And for us, it was important to, not necessarily create, a perfect solution, but to create something that's, that it works, that's good enough, and it gets, privacy into the hands of the builders and the ecosystem. Let's see what people create. And that's why, we're the world's first decentralized blockchain with privacy and all that good stuff. Yeah, so that was one. And the second one, maybe, this is hard. I think maybe for me, it's problem solving. Sort of like from like an early age, I was like, I loved sort of, tackling problems, finding creative solutions for stuff. At one point, I remember, I think I was like 7 or 8 or something. And we had a problem like with, one of the toilets in the house. And I fixed it with a tennis ball, of all things. I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, but it worked and it was awesome. And it was always like this thing for me of like, problem solving, both from like finding out of the box, like creative solutions, but also like just, getting to the root cause of an issue and fixing that, which leads to, everything else falling in place as well. And that's sort of like a skill that I've managed to fine tune over the years. And, sort of, it's funny how, once you sort of figure out, sort of a methodology, for how do you look at problems, and how do you investigate them. It sort of translates between a lot of different, areas. And software is no different, than anything else. And that's like one of the things that has really helped me in the day-to-day stuff, because blockchain development is, and development as a whole is all about problem solving. Like you have, you build out this general plan, and then everything goes to shit, and you sort of have to figure out how to solve problems. And it's like both on a large scale, let's think about things for months or something like that, and anything till we have to get something working out tomorrow, and it has to work. What is the best way to move forward? Yeah, so that was a long-winded answer, but yeah, two things. Got it.
That's awesome. You're an engineer's engineer. I entered college with a lot of units already from AP classes, and so I was like, well, I have excellent scholarships. My college is paid for, so I might as well take my full 4 years to graduate. And so I started out in chemical engineering, bounced around, did a lot of economics, and finally finished with my bachelor's in philosophy. But I started with chemical engineering because that was the major that made the most money. And so I'm like, hey, why not? I'm good at chemistry. I'm good at math. But in that whole training, the way they kind of described it is that scientists ask why, engineers ask why not. And it's all about problem solving. And I love that. I was just never really great at all the hands-on stuff because I like just sitting around thinking things through in my head, which is why I chose philosophy, and I love it. But that's excellent. Finding problems and just figuring out ways to solve them. And I think of engineering and construction very similarly to how I think of art. It's where you're creating something out of nothing. And the secret network, what we have now as a layer one, that as a blockchain that solves for computational privacy, like it doesn't exist anywhere else. You guys literally created this out of nothing. It started out as Guy Ziskin's, Sandy's, like their brainchild, and it now exists because somebody got out and with their hands and built it, and that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And so it's really cool what you guys have been doing, and I'm a fan of all you're developing, obviously.
Awesome, man.
So we've talked a little bit briefly now about how Enigma is now Secret Labs. Would you like to talk about how that kind of transpired and what that means now going forward, with now people connecting the names? Because previously I was like, oh, so there's an Enigma team, there's an Enigma token, but there's a secret token. Enigma works for that. What does it mean going forward for you now that it's Secret Labs?
Yeah, so I think like first of all, you hit the nail on the head, right? The question of like the whole reason, where we started, thinking about maybe we should move away from the Enigma brand and go somewhere else was exactly because of that feedback. You talk to people, and you have Enigma, which was a established brand in the ecosystem, had its own token, had some white paper vision, things like that, and that sort of morphed into Secret Network along the way. But a lot of people still remember the old Enigma brand and the old Enigma project. And what we were seeing is first of all, people coming up and saying, oh, Enigma, we know you, but what's, Secret, what's the connection here? Are you guys working together? And then you have to, explain what really, happened along the years. And another thing was also sort of like there was a lot of baggage attached to, the Enigma name. And, we sort of left that behind when we moved towards Secret Network. And we also wanted, people to sort of leave that behind and focus on, this new network and the new brand and sort of, also, allow people to obviously make, the immediate connection of, oh, Secret Labs, they work on Secret and not Enigma. What the hell is going on there? So for us, like, this was, in terms of timing, this was like a great time, with all the, coverage and press and, everything happening in the network. So for us, this was a really good time to, finally, make the transition and have, the exposure that comes along, with what we're doing attached to this new brand and get that off the ground much easier than it would be to just switch it on just on a random day and hope for the best.
Yeah, and absolutely. And there's also been a lot of turnover. We now have you, Asaf, and Reuven, all superstars, and all of you guys. Thankfully, I appreciate you guys coming on the show. But you guys weren't around in the original Enigma days, and now you guys are really a new team. Guys still here, and we've had a lot of the same players, but we do have a new team going forward. And I like that you guys are focusing on where we're going forward instead of just continually bringing up the past and all the awkward drama that really most of it wasn't our fault. So glad we're moving forward.
Yeah.
The subject of the hour, we are partnered with Quentin Tarantino, and you guys have done an incredible job keeping that secret because I didn't even know it. I'm in here running the podcast just so I could get that inside information, and you guys did a great job following by any NDAs you guys signed. I wasn't a part of it, but I was stoked to hear the news.
Yeah, we were doing it. We were doing a good job keeping it a secret. Guy was not. Guy was leaking, everything everywhere all the time. But I was pretty happy that it came as a nice surprise for people, and even with Guy's crazy it's somebody bigger than Jesus hype that people weren't disappointed in the end. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Whatever you guys did, I was following all the little crumb trails you guys were dropping, or addresses with things called like Pokemon contracts and whatnot. So all the little things that you guys did in the background to dissuade people was brilliant. I love the plot twist, and it's very applicable with Quentin Tarantino being the partner. Would you walk through what this means and what these NFTs are going to be in a way that maybe the audience will understand better?
Yeah. So first of all, for anyone that's living under a rock, but I suppose most people listening to a Secret Network podcast have been, up to date with the news. But I think it's still important that we give a rundown anyway. So we're working with Quentin Tarantino to release seven NFTs. Which will represent scenes from Pulp Fiction. And this will be his handwritten, this script. Each of the 7 scenes will be a separate NFT containing scans of his original script, original handwriting, what he says is terrible grammar and doodles, although we don't really know what's in there. And there's also going to be some voiceover by Quentin himself attached to each of the scenes, and they will be secret NFTs. So basically NFTs with exclusive content on Secret Network that can only be viewed by the owner. But of course, on Secret Network, we want, everybody to be part of it. So we'll also have the ability to bridge those secret NFTs to Ethereum. And they will have a sort of public NFT counterpart that will contain, low res, watermarked image. Those of you on the early days of the internet know what I'm talking about. And that will be sold on Ethereum to take advantage, of the bigger markets. Obviously, we don't want, to make a big barrier for entry for people. And once you acquire that public NFT on Ethereum, you can bridge it back to Secret Network, where you can view the exclusive content. And from there, it's up to you, what you do with that, NFT. And those materials, you can store them in a vault. You can show them to your friends or family. You can share them with the world. Whatever you want to do, you're free to do it. And those things, like what's really exciting is that this is something that has never been seen before by anyone. And we're finally we have a way to sort of sell art in a way that lets people own exclusive content, and sort of starts to unlock this market of selling digital goods where perhaps you don't want anybody to view whatever you're buying, which is pretty exciting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the first use cases, but my podcast partner Paul is actually writing an article right now to kind of explain a little bit more what it means, because people are like, oh, secret NFTs, that's cool. I guess it's just on a different network. I guess something about it's private. But what this is really doing is it's changing what the value of NFTs are. Because right now, all the NFTs that exist outside Secret Network, it's like, yes, you're getting ownership rights, it's kind of like bragging rights in a way, and that's all that's existed. But now, instead of just bragging about rights, you're actually getting knowledge that nobody else has. Nobody can right click and save it. You're literally getting secrets. You're the only one that gets to see this script. You're the only one that gets to see his mistakes and kind of gets to go inside Quentin Tarantino's head. And now, instead of selling those rights to somebody else who already knows the information, now you're actually selling the knowledge, and knowledge is power, and we're bringing it to the people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, NFTs, I'm not going to be the one that's going to say, oh, NFTs have no value. You're just, anybody can right click and save, your image. Because I mean, I mean, there are pictures, I don't know, the Mona Lisa, for example, is, worth a pretty penny, but, you can find pictures of it online anywhere. So art there's always been value in owning something exclusive, even if everybody else can see it, or I mean knows what it is at the very least. But I think finally being able to create exclusive content really unlocks new things that haven't really been possible before. And there have been workarounds on Ethereum, but I mean it's so hard to have something truly private on Ethereum. And it's so easy, on Secret Network to do it, that I think we're going to see, a lot of, new use cases for NFTs going forward. And it's going to be, a process. We're going to have to, sort of educate the NFT community and sort of, show them what's possible before, people don't raise an eyebrow at new concepts. But I mean, that's what blockchain has always been about, right? It's like pushing boundaries and educating people about new possibilities. So I think we're up for the challenge.
Yeah, and I'm not one to just speculate about the price of this art and type of thing. And you're right, obviously a lot of it does have value because that's what the market's deciding. But this definitely, just this use case alone, let alone where I think NFTs are going to go, especially on Secret Network, but this use case alone unlocks something new. What if DB Cooper comes out and makes an NFT saying, this is how I robbed that airplane in midair, and you can only sell out of that, and somebody wants to know the answer. But once that information's public, then that loses its value because now everybody knows. And so it's kind of that mystery that you're selling. Like or if you want to write an autobiography, but you don't want to publish it and make it completely transparent. And so you've got some big key private figure being like, hey, you want to learn about all the affairs I've had and all of my behind the scenes dealings or whatnot, I'm going to sell this as a limited one-of-one NFT on Secret Network. And then if you want to go public with it, you're potentially going to devalue it, but you have that right, you have that power, you have that knowledge, and it's never been seen before, and that's pretty cool. So going into the structure of the NFTs, is how much of the data is stored on it, and how much is perhaps a masked IPFS link, or how is everything structured in the private metadata?
So the way it works, and we're talking about only the secret NFT part of things, is that what's going to be stored inside the NFT is an encryption key. For different types of data, you might be able to store everything on chain, but since we're talking about scans of pages, high resolution, like photographs, audio data, is not something that you can just store on the blockchain. It's not efficient to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to have links. The NFT itself will contain a private key, which is obviously only be able to viewed by the holder of the token, and a link to the encrypted data either on IPFS or any other publicly available storage, but that will be encrypted. So we're not trying to obfuscate the link like certain Ethereum solutions. We don't care if you download the encrypted blob of data. But obviously, since it's encrypted, it's useless to anybody except the owner of the NFT.
Awesome. So if you then sell that NFT to somebody else, are you still going to have access?
It depends. We're still working on the specific technicalities of that. But the correct answer is that it doesn't really matter because, I mean, me, if I'm a holder of the data, then nothing's stopping me at any point just, saving it locally and then doing what I want with it.
Yeah,
So
the whole copy paste thing that everyone does on NFT, on Ethereum.
Yeah. I mean, so it's something that, it's the nature of the beast, and there's nothing like we can do about it. But I think anybody that holds some content that has value, and perhaps maybe thinking of reselling it later, realizes that if they make this data public, then they're devaluing the asset that they're holding. So I mean, it's up to whoever buys it and holds it, and the owner of the data to do what they want with it. And that's what we're in blockchain. That's what we're all about, right? Letting people hold their own data and do what they want with it. So we'll have to see how things sort of how people use and consume like this. This new asset class in blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on episode 14 of the podcast, I was my own guest, and Paul interviewed me about Secret Swap. But towards the end of that, he asked me, he's like, hey, if you could do one partnership, because I didn't know it was going to be Quentin Tarantino, but if you could do one partnership with Secret NFTs, like who would you want it to be with? And I thought about it, and I said OpenSea. And sure enough, like a week and a half later, it's like, hey, we partnered with OpenSea for this next big listing, which is awesome. Like that wasn't even the big partnership, but now we are working with them. And you mentioned that this is going to be sold as an Ethereum version initially. How are they going to access the secret version? I've heard talks about an NFT bridge. How does that work?
Yeah, so there are two parts to this. Let's assume you're a casual Ethereum NFT whale, and you bought one of these exclusive scenes as an NFT. So you'll have a dedicated site where you can go to. It sort of detects that you're the owner of this NFT, and it'll walk you through the stages, to bridging it to secret network and then accessing it. And that should be fairly transparent for, the user. I mean, we're talking about pieces which are, very exclusive. And we want to, make the experience as, seamless as possible. So, that's going to be, how things work. And it's sort of going to be transparent and magical for, the buyer on Ethereum. Taking things a step further, like behind the scenes, we'll have an NFT bridge. And that bridge will function a little bit like, the current bridges to Ethereum, only it'll work for NFTs. And the way we're thinking about it, and this is, still pretty early stages. Like what we do know is the bridge will be functioning for the Tarantino NFT collection. That's 100% certain. Everything else is, we're sort of, iterating on as we go. But the way we're looking at things and we think things will turn out right now is, at least in the first stage, we'll have the bridge available for tokens that were built on and deployed on Secret Network. You'll be able to bridge them to Ethereum. And what will happen is you have, as we said, the NFT on Secret Network has this private data and public data. So what the bridge does is, you send it the NFT, it looks at your NFT, says, this is awesome. Then it takes the public side of things and deploys a new token on Ethereum that contains that exact public data. And then it sends, you or whoever else, it sends that Ethereum token, and you can, sell it, hold it, whatever you want to do with it on Ethereum, you can do. And that token is sort of, is pinned in a one-to-one way to, the secret counterpart on Secret Network. So you can always go back or, go back and forth to your heart's content, basically. And so right now we're thinking about it, mostly for tokens that originated on Secret Network, because they have, the private data and the public data, and it's slightly more complex going the other way. You'll have, if you come with an NFT on Ethereum that doesn't have any, private data, then what are you going to do with it? Like, do you add private data after the fact? Maybe. I mean, that could be an interesting use case.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, it could be cool, but as I said, we do things in steps, and we're gonna roll out this first, see the reception, see how people use it, what people want to create, what they want to build, and we'll iterate on that as we go.
I'm waiting for us to partner with Bored Apes Yacht Club and CryptoPunks and say that we are going to add private metadata to you guys, and based on your guys' bids, we are going to completely adjust the rarity.
Yeah. I mean, it's we could do that. Yeah, I think like one of the things that would be interesting, especially for projects that are already established on Ethereum, is that you could have these exclusive collections of items that translate into things in the real world. Like you have an event, and you don't want to say where it is, like a secret event or something like that, and you have invite only on Secret Network, so nobody can just show up and say I don't know, Guy said I could come, or Doe said I could come, let me in.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have exclusive items, or secret I don't know, secret attributes, things like that. I think there are a lot of interesting use cases for established projects, but I think it also takes time, and with more and more projects getting started in the NFT space on Secret Network, I think we'll see. At the end of the day, I mean, it's all a question of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think as we see, as Guy likes to say, number go up, then we'll see these projects starting to look shift their eyes a bit to the right, and looking at what they can do with Secret Network. But I mean, it's baby steps, and these things always take time, but I think we'll get there eventually.
Absolutely. And seeing the panel and the coverage from CNN, CNBC, Bloomberg about these Quentin Tarantino NFTs, as artists realize that, hey, if you build your NFTs on Secret Network, you can do more. You can offer more value. You can offer secrets. You don't have to provide everything to the world. And you can capture your value in a way that's much more adjustable and maintainable, and ideally sustainable to you, however you'd like. And I think that's going to be a big capture. So while we're on the subject of NFTs, what's next for Iconic? Was it just this one-off with Quentin Tarantino? Do you have other artists lined up or inquiring?
Yeah, so there is not too much I can talk about at this stage. What I will say is that we do have more things planned. We're also planning on doing something that has more mass appeal. Let's call it that way. So like not so you wouldn't have to be a whale to participate, and to give everybody like a little bit of a little taste of how awesome it is to participate and be a part of something exclusive, but it's a bit early to talk about, and as everything goes, I mean, at the end of the day, what we're doing here is like it's sort of like the let's call it this way, we're trying to see where we're testing out the waters for mainstream sort of adoption into NFTs, and we have a lot of interest, but I think there will be we'll have to sort of prove that at the end of the day this is interesting to people, and what I'm trying to say is it depends how much it sells for. I mean, at the end of the day, people like, big headlines. And, if you have a headline, Tarantino exclusive content sells for a bajillion Ethereum, then, there are a lot of people out there that can offer very, very interesting exclusive content. And, that will definitely get, heads to turn. So yeah, I think the future is bright.
Awesome. Yeah, the headlines are great. The number go up idea is great, but I love hearing that you guys also have things in store for more mass adoption, because I don't just want people hearing about this and hearing that it's cool. I want people to have their hands on secret NFTs. And I've always been a big fan of Tor's podcast before mine, and he used to talk about NFTs back in 2018, 2019, and I kind of acknowledge that listening to his talk with Coin Artist, who is awesome and on the panel there in New York City, but talking about how it will start out as art, but eventually it's going to be more than that. It's going to be collectibles, take over all video games. Eventually it's going to be airplane tickets, movie tickets, everything that uses a notary right now. And so, yeah, I'm definitely excited for that next stage of NFTs, and I'm excited to see them built on Secret Network.
Yeah, I mean, like I have personally, I have a bit, I'm a bit hesitant to, go as far as saying as I think NFTs will replace every single thing, that has ownership in the world. I think NFTs are great for a lot of things, but, baby steps in terms of adoption. Like, I don't think Bitcoin is going to replace the US dollar anytime soon. So, I mean, I think the technology is really cool. And like one thing that sort of made me, realize the potential of NFTs in particular is I remember I was watching, what's it called? An Evening with Kevin Smith, which I don't know if you've seen. But it's like this 2-hour Q&A with Kevin Smith, who's an awesome storyteller, a great director as well. And one of the questions that sort of stuck with me was this college student, and it's like, this film student, I don't know, 19, 20 years old, and he asks Kevin Smith, like, how did you get started? And, how can I get started as well as like a filmmaker? How can I, make something? And Kevin Smith, looks at him and he thinks about it a bit. Then he goes, well, you can do what I did, and you can take $50,000 of credit card debt, and, you can make your movie and, hope for the best. And, if it's good, then, people will like it. And, that's horrible advice. I mean, that's like the worst advice ever. And, it stuck with me because it was like, I was looking at it, I was like, really, that's like the only way. Like, it's either that or, either you gamble all or nothing and, you're stuck with credit card debt for the next who knows how many years, or, you just go through the motions and you hope that, you're lucky enough to do something that somehow, gets, traction and you get recognition and all that stuff, which is so hard to do. And I think, like, since then, that was, I don't know, like, give or take, I don't know, I don't say 15 years ago, something like that. But we've had like YouTube since then, and TikTok, so it's a little bit easier for creators. But still, if you want to make like a feature film or something like that, there really hasn't been any good way to crowdfund it in a meaningful way. And I think NFTs in particular sort of have this potential where they can first of all they attract a lot of creators, and they're focused around art. And on the other hand, you have people that want to be a part of something, and they want to own something as well, and they have the funds available to do it, and to invest that capital. And that's a very interesting intersection where I think we'll see more and more projects in the future. And I think Stoner Cats was the first one to do it, but there are obviously many more approaches that you can take with it, where NFTs in particular fund these sort of indie projects, and we'll see a lot of them have a lot of success and break into mainstream, starting from from being on blockchain. I think, that's going to be really, really cool. Not necessarily has anything to do with, secret NFTs or anything like that, but that's the one thing that I'm really excited about in terms of like the NFT ecosystem as a whole.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was watching the panel. I wasn't able to make it to New York City. Would have been really cool. But I was watching the panel and hearing them talk about what a Kickstarter would look like using NFTs for movies, and just watching it kind of click in Quentin Tarantino's head while he's sitting there next to Guy Ziskin. I'm like, this is so cool. This is actually getting mainstream conversation, because these are the kind of talks we've had on podcasts behind closed doors for the last 3-4 years about what could happen in the future. And it's now finally starting to get enough adoption for the real players and the real money to make this happen. And that is going to be huge. And about Kevin Smith's response, I actually had a conversation similar to that pretty recently. I had a friend who I share Secret Network with everybody I possibly can. And I had a friend who was getting involved, starting to listen to my podcast, and he was looking, he's like, man, I could get like 30% interest staking. Should I just take out a loan and buy this and have this pay the difference? And I'm like, dude, that is extremely dangerous. And I have made so much money from doing that. So I guess I'd fall into Kevin Smith pattern. I was already in debt. I had to move in my mom's place after the crash after 2017. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to work my way out to pay this anyways, or I'm going to go bankrupt. So I took out a $10,000 loan, and that's how I started my portfolio. So
Nice.
I don't recommend it. But now that there are things like Duplex where you can sustainably earn close to maybe 40% interest in stables, investing your money in two places at once, absolutely brilliant setup with our partnership with Key Tango. I mean, really, if you could take out a loan for 10% and be earning 40%, keeping it in dollars, where it's not like the price of Secret could fluctuate, but it's in dollars, then, I mean, not financial advice, but it could work. I mean, you still have to bank on the security of things like Compound and of our bridges and whatnot, but it could work.
Yeah. First of all, anybody who's listening, never take financial advice from Eric. It's a terrible idea. But I mean, yeah, it's funny how, you hear these stories about people getting like super rich off Bitcoin. Like, I bought Bitcoin, for $1,000, for $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, way back when, and, now there are millions. But the people who do that are fucking crazy. Like, anybody who's, crazy enough to like, make 10x on their investment, and they're like thinking about it, and they go like, let it ride, let's see where this is going to go. That's not sound financial advice, but you never know. I mean, things can work out in the end. But I mean, always invest wisely, never invest any more than you can lose. And, once things become, a significant amount of money for you, like, the minute, and I don't know, I didn't mention this, but I was playing poker semi-professionally. Like, I put myself through college, although in Israel it's not that expensive, so it's not super impressive, playing online poker. And like, the one good piece of advice that, that applies to that as well as, life in general is like, once the money becomes significant for you, like once you're scared, doing anything with it, then you should probably, scale back a bit, maybe realize some of your profits, put some aside, and make sure that, you don't lose any more than you can afford to, because that's like the worst feeling in the world. Like the worst feeling is, being up, I don't know, whatever amount of money, and then, seeing everything go down the drain, and the only thing you're left with the thoughts of, what could have been, and, why didn't I take it out? Like, I'm such a fool. So never take financial advice from Eric. I don't remember the rest of what we were talking about. I just went on a rant there.
That's the important part. No, you're absolutely right. I in 2017, the first bull market, first me getting involved in crypto, I turned 3K into 75K. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Didn't cash any of it out, and it went to literally zero. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And so you got to think about it. Like, if you've got 75K in that portfolio, and that's an absolute ton of money for me, then if I was given 75K, would I really deposit 100% of it into crypto at that time? And I probably wouldn't have. And so you need to adjust your portfolio accordingly. And I'm completely happy taking profits, and I'm still still all in on Secret Network, think that we're going to change the world. But at the same time, I'm not going to risk my entire family's livelihood and have to move in with my mom again, because that was embarrassing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this brings us to a community spotlight question.
Okay.
This question is brought to us from Jinsun. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but thank you very much, Jin. And her question is, and she's asking the right guy for this, in simple terms, how do bridges work?
Wow, this is hard. Like explaining anything in blockchain simply is usually like it's a real challenge. But I think like the easiest way to think about bridges, and this applies to, I think maybe 95% of bridges, is sort of like this beast that has two hands. On the one hand, it's holding on to the first network, and on the other hand, it's holding on to the second one. And what it does is sort of looks to the right, sees activity on network A, and then has some logic that allows it to translate that action into some other action on the other network. And for us, what that means, as a simple example, is you want to bridge Ethereum from Ethereum to Secret Network. We have the bridge in the middle of that. It waits. It looks at Ethereum, and you send some ETH to the bridge. And the bridge, knows how to. It sort of recognizes that you sent it ETH and goes, oh, I got some ETH. That's awesome. I have some logic that tells me once you send it ETH, send this ETH as secret ETH on Secret Network. And usually it has, it takes some logic on both networks. So you have to customize it for each network. But that's basically how it works. And IBC is exactly the same in that regard, where it's sort of, it's just standardized logic for Cosmos chains, for the most part anyway, that allows them to, watch both networks and translate actions from one to the other.
That's awesome. So I use gambling for all of my kind of visual comparisons for people, because I am ex-casino dealer. I love blackjack, poker, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of my area of interest. So the way I've been describing bridges, and especially in relation to duplex, is that it's like going and giving $5 to a blackjack dealer and getting a chip instead. And then you use that chip as a representation. You could prove it's worth the $5, but it's not technically that same $5 bill. And then with the idea of duplex, both of them are invested in different places, risk-free. And so then you're kind of making more. Is that a fair analogy of what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And yeah, especially that's what's sort of thinking about it that way is sort of what led us to sort of create duplex in the first place. Is like we're taking this I don't know, let's call it this asset, and we're creating a wrapped version of it, but they can both earn yield on these different assets. So why not do both at the same time? And the interesting thing for us is since we're Secret Labs, and we're like our main focus is just developing and bringing taking Secret Network forwards, is that we're not creating these products to as for purely financial incentive, but rather we can take like something like duplex, and we can do it because we're core contributors on Secret Network, and we created Secret Swap as well, and we created the bridge as well, and we're not looking to monetize any of these, so we can create a sort of like a holistic solution that allows the users to sort of double dip on rewards on both networks, and sort of funnel everything that's being earned to the users themselves.
And that is super cool. Jinsoon, thank you so much for that question. And and also that your reward's gonna be 2.5 secret, or if you prove that the Secret Code podcast node is your top delegation, we're gonna double it to 5.
Nice. So, bribing people into delegating for you. That's legit.
Yes. Itzik, you mentioned a little bit about how IBC works similarly, and I know that we have IBC coming November 9th, November 10th, and our upcoming IBC or Supernova Upgrade that includes IBC and more. Would you talk a little bit about what Supernova is going to mean for Secret Network as a whole and some of the things included in it?
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, Supernova is the code name for our upgrade, our network upgrade to IBC. And there are a few different parts to that. And the first, the base level is upgrading the core code of the blockchain, that powers Secret Network. And that was like a significant amount of work. Because these things evolve like super quickly, and there was a lot of catching up that we had to do. So at the base level, what that means is that we'll have a more stable network, and one that is for the most part cross-compatible with other Cosmos chains as well. So we can use tooling, and we can share knowledge in the ecosystem. Another part of that was, obviously, we've launched, Secret Network about a year ago in its, final form with the secret contracts and all. And, since then, we've learned a lot about, how the contracts work, how people are using them, how the network operates. So we've obviously made, some significant performance updates as well. So I think we'll see, anything from a 4 to 10x reduction in gas costs, which is going to be really awesome. And, we expect significant performance gains. It's a bit early to, give exact numbers on that, but we expect that, things will be running much more smoothly in comparison to how things are today. So those are the two, secret network, intra-network sort of improvements. And if we look a bit outward, then we have, the IBC compatibility as well. So that means that we're adding modules to the network that will allow us to sort of bridge to other Cosmos chains as well. Of course, assuming that they're IBC enabled. And, we get that, as part of the Cosmos upgrade package, we sort of get that for free. So that's going to be really awesome. Although, with all things bridges, anybody who's used bridges, whether it be Secret Networks bridges or others, knows that, these things are like never 100%, foolproof. So, there will be some, learning and some growing, for us, for anybody that wants to, run relayers or, create applications that take advantage of this. But, what this means going forward is that, we'll start seeing Secret on other chains as well. And we'll start seeing other tokens from the Cosmos space come to Secret Network.
That's awesome. And as far as the IBC, you mentioned a little bit about how we'll be able to wrap their tokens in the Secret Network directly. I know Asaf made wrap.scrt.network. And so if you go to wrap.scrt.network, you can see not only where you can wrap Secret back and forth to Secret and Secret, but also the same with Luna, Terra, Osmo, and Atom. And those are wonderful. And we can get those incorporated on Secret Swap. There's a governance proposal up right now to do so. And then also on Secret Governance, so that'll be on Secret Swap Governance. But on Secret Governance, there's a proposal right now to help use some of the community funds to incentivize liquidity for the Secret token on Osmosis. So we'll be able to start seeing that on Osmo and Cosmos, or Gravity DEX on the Cosmos ecosystem. And what that means for you users is that if you use, like, say, Coinbase and you're in the US, then now you could just buy the Atom token directly on Coinbase, withdraw that natively, purchase Secret with it on Osmosis, and then go directly there. So right now, Coinbase, for whatever reason, doesn't accept the Binance-based tokens, probably because they're their top competitor. But it means that you'd have to use the Ethereum bridge, which is awesome and great technology. But I mean, last time I used it cost over $400, and now you don't. Now you don't have to do that. Also, yeah. So it's really cool development. It's going to be awesome to have the people that we're in a partnered ecosystem with directly on our swap, as well as us on theirs, and we can continue to build the collaborations that are going to make the entire Cosmos ecosystem and and secret ecosystem really, really bud in the future. So awesome job, you guys. And we're really, really happy for Supernova.
Yeah, it's going to be really fucking cool.
Yeah. So my last episode, I had Sandy on. I know he's doing Stake D, one version of stake derivatives. And I know that you have also worked on another version and recently on Twitter said that you're going to kind of put the repo out there publicly and hope somebody else continues to build on it. Would you talk to me a little bit about your staking derivatives? I know I mentioned last week why I'm so excited for it and what it could unlock. What's kind of your vision for them?
Yeah. So first of all, for anyone who doesn't know or has not watched, the previous episode with Sandy, which of course everybody did, staking derivatives are basically a concept where you want to stake in the network and earn the staking rewards, but you also want to maintain some form of liquidity. So the concept is you deposit your tokens in a contract, and that contract stakes your tokens for you and gives you this chip, to borrow from from your analogies. It gives you this ownership chip of that certain amount of stake in the pool, and you can trade that chip to anyone else, and it continues to accrue rewards. So you sort of earn, but you're also liquid as well. And that's a really cool concept, and it hasn't been done really well yet, to my knowledge. Not only in Cosmos, I think there are a few implementations across like ETH 2.0 that work very, very similarly to what I just described. But in Cosmos, I'm not aware of any implementations of anything like that. Where it's really like this, when I first thought of it, I was like, why hasn't anybody done this before? I mean, it's like, why wouldn't you want to earn and be able to trade your tokens? I mean, it makes perfect sense. And while I think that perhaps, the Cosmos OGs, might raise an eyebrow at this because, part of the point of staking and locking up your tokens is, not to be able to sort of disrupt the ecosystem. And, it's all part of the, economics of it all. And, there's also governance voting and all that other good stuff. I personally feel that, this is an evolution of these original concepts. And, if we don't build it now, then somebody else will in the future. And just the fact that, both I have an implementation, Sandy does as well. And I'm sure that there are also others out there that, I'm not aware of. It's going to come at some point. So the question is not should we do it, but, how's it going to work? And for me, it was something I was really passionate about, because looking at staking derivatives and, taking things also a bit further, it's sort of told the story of secret network as a whole. And what I mean by that is that you start from, these staking derivatives and, you create a simple staking derivative. And then, thinking about that, you sort of think about, wait, so what I actually have here is a privacy token, because this is a secret network and everything is private. I have a privacy token that represents my stake, and I can buy that or sell that. So just out of the box, just creating that on Secret Network, you can sort of stake with privacy. You stake, but you don't have to have it public, and you can avoid that spotlight if you so choose. And you can also sell your stake anonymously, which is a really cool concept. So, right out of the box, that's super cool. And then you take that a step further and you say, wait a second. So, I'm staking, but then that means that I give up voting rights. So one of the things I did that I built into the contract, and that already exists right now, is voting. So the holders of the staking derivative can vote. And sort of the staking contract itself has it opens up voting. As new proposal gets proposed on the network, the contract also updates, and it lets the token holders, the staking derivative holders, vote as well. And what happens is that those votes are now private because it's secret network and everything is private. So you get private voting, private governance voting as well. So you take the politics aspect out of it as well, and that sort of fits right into the narrative of secret network and of privacy. And I think like specifically for governance, having private voting is so important because I think we're also seeing that and anybody who's been a part of any community knows that as the community grows, then things become more and more political, and it's just like the nature of the beast, and that's totally fine. But if you have some sort of voting, having an option for private voting, I think is a really important part of maintaining the decentralization, and not having anybody being able to effectively lobby and use their sort of political leverage to influence decisions. So it all sort of fits together. And then if you want to think about even beyond that, if you're in the US and you've thought of tax implications of staking, that if you want to withdraw your rewards, that's a tax event. But if a contract is staking for you and it's compounding rewards for you, then all of a sudden, no tax event there. You get that for free. And you can take that a step further and take, this staking derivative and bridge it to Ethereum maybe. Then you have a token on Ethereum that has 30% APR out of the box. And maybe you can, get liquidity rewards on that as well. And, double dip and triple dip and quadruple dip. And I don't know. I mean, you can take that, so much further. And all of that together was like so cool to me that, I just wanted to, just create it, and let people, start playing with it and, experiencing it themselves. And it turns out that it's not that simple. Like it took me quite a while to navigate sort of, all the complexities of it. But in its current form, like I ended up with something that works and that has all that functionality that I described. And among other things, it also has you can like the stake of the contracts. You might say, well, Cashman, you're running a validator, so I suppose everything gets staked with you, obviously. But that's not the point of it at all. So what I did was I created functionality for a pool of validators. So you can have, 20, 30, 50 validators, and the stake gets distributed between them. And, how does it get distributed? Well, this is something, obviously future work, but you can have like a governance token, or you can have, another sort of governance, or like a quorum or whatever else that sort of makes those decisions and sort of washes for bad actors as well. Because you don't want, somebody to raise their commission to 100% and, screw everybody over. So, there's also that as well. And, that's like, that's all the contract side is working. And then I got to the stage where I had to, create, the UI for it and create all the infrastructure. And I don't know if you've heard, but there are some things going on in Secret Network right now. I just didn't have, the capacity to, execute it on a high level. Like I could create, some shitty, web page that, might work, might not work. And probably once it gets launched, it crashes all to hell. But I sort of didn't want, I didn't want people to, get stuck on, bad UI or like bad experiences with buttons or whatever, and sort of, discount the idea entirely. So I opened it up to the public, and anybody that wants to, create an implementation of their own can 100% do it. And I'm seeing some interest, like there are some people working on it. So I definitely expect that, it'll get there in the end. So yeah, I mean, I just want to see it working, basically. So gonna be cool.
Dude, I've been more bullish on staking derivatives than anybody I know, and that was without expectation of functional governance, private governance, or auto compounding. And so if you've really done this, you've completely broken the system, because you mentioned earlier about how this doesn't work with how the tokenomics of the Cosmos ecosystem were set up, which some call a feature, and I consider a flaw, because if you want a high bonded rate to lower inflation to a rate that's sustainable, then you're not going to have the kind of liquidity that is desirable to have multiple DEXs and maybe a Binance or Coinbase listing or something like this. You need substantial liquidity. You need a high bonded rate to keep the inflation low, or else you're going to have to arbitrarily lower it. And people are against arbitrarily lowering it through governance, because then it's hurting the validators' money, it's hurting the foundation's money, it's hurting the pool and the ecosystem, because those are taxed from that. And so you need to lower it sustainably. This is absolutely brilliant, and you broke the system. I haven't been this excited since Art Carter pitched Shade and Silk on my show a while back. And so excellent job. And if you're actually getting distracted from this for any reason, you better be like partnering with Quentin Tarantino or something.
Who knows? Maybe.
All right. Well, I know this is going long, but we have finally gotten to our special guest edition of The Viewing Key.
Hi, Itzik. So here's the viewing key question for you today. What is the memory limit of the enclave? Is it A, 128 megabytes, B, 192 megabytes, C, 228 megabytes, or D, 256 megabytes? Good luck, man.
Shit. I was the one that made the recommendation on the numbers. I should know this. So it's obviously A or D. I'm gonna guess D. Yeah, I'm gonna go with D. Final answer.
Did Asaf bribe you in any way to choose a certain answer? And do you think he wants you to get it right or wrong?
No comment. Asaf does things for his own reasons. Nobody knows why Asaf does things.
Nobody knows, but that is correct.
Woo!
I was talking to him when we had the idea of having him film this and sending it to you, and he was saying that he was going to slip the answer to you somehow in your backpack or something. I just wanted it to know where it was going to be so I could call you out on the show and be like, yeah, check your backpack for that answer. clear and obvious collusion. The Secret Labs Slabs team, as we call them, is clearly trying to game the system for the viewing key questions, and it will not be tolerated any further.
No, there has been no collusion. Asaf, if anything, he actually stole my hotel room key. So if anything, maybe he wanted to write the answer down on it and like slip it back to me, but he just forgot and gone on his plane. So yeah, that was all me right there.
Oh man, I should have been in New York this weekend.
You missed
awesome.
out, man. You missed out. We also had some awesome members from the community come out as well. So yeah, get to see some, faces behind the anons.
Ooh, I am number 149, and nobody can even pry it from my cold dead hands. I've got it locked up clearly. I put it on a ledger, and I just threw the ledger in the ocean. And so if you're a capable scuba diver, Pier 15, Newport Beach. Good luck. All right. Going back to wrapping a couple of these things up, outside of what you work on, can you talk about what projects excite you? And if it's just staking derivatives and whatnot, that's fine. But what else that can be built or might be starting to be built do you find really exciting right now?
Yeah, honestly, like anything and everything. Like it's like I'm sort of dodging the question, but I'll do that anyway. Because like what I love the most is, especially as somebody that's, created, I've worked on like a number of, different projects throughout the years. But I mean, the one like really cool thing about Secret Network is that you create this infrastructure and it, and you let people just come in and sort of, take, that, vision and that solution and build on it and like create their own things. and have new ideas and push things further and think of things that we haven't thought of either. So every time somebody comes in and pitches an idea or a new project or anything that anybody's building on Secret Network, that's like the most amazing thing to me. Like, I don't even care. Like, I'll ape in on everything. Like, so yeah, like I'm really just passionate about Secret Network in general, and pushing things further, and seeing where we can take the privacy ecosystem as a whole. Because the analogy that I like to give for this is like, if you think of the internet, like, how many applications would you really use if everything was public? Some, I'm sure, you'd use some for sure, but would you rent like an Airbnb if anybody knew where you were staying? Like, not sure about that one. Like, and let's say nothing about Tinder. Like, nobody would use Tinder if everything was public. So I view like that analogy also to the blockchain Web3 world as well, where in the future, I think that we'll have all these applications that do involve some measure of privacy, and we'll be looking back and seeing how the non-private, the everything public versions are just a small speck in the ocean of what people are really going to create.
Absolutely. And I'm right there with you, aping in everything Secret Network. I was on a podcast last week on a live stream with the Darker Side of the Podcasts, and a wonderful project, by the way, but they were talking about how you shouldn't necessarily get married to one project. And I'm like, look, I love all of these different projects and ideas, but I'll invest in Aave once it's built on Secret Network. I'll invest in everything like AMP once it's built on Secret Network. Like, I don't think any of these are going to work without privacy. And right now we don't have competition, and we're the only ones, and we're still driving, and we're still pushing forward. And I hope we do see other privacy alternatives as well. But realistically, at the further advantage we gain, we might just see more L2s and wrap-ups on Secret Network. And that's awesome. I'm here for it. And so I've got Secret, SEFI, Sienna, Fat Secret. Episode 16, I had Stephen Chang of Buttcoin. I've got Buttcoin, anything built on Secret Network. And Altermail has recently announced that they're doing a coin offering right now, and they kind of came out with some documentation on their private sale rounds. I'm like, sign me up for that too, because I've had Oscar Yepsis of Altermail on the show, brilliant guy, and the project is amazing, and the roadmap's incredible. They're going to have a bridge so you can connect to actual email addresses as well, with complete privacy, and so it's really a brilliant system and budding ecosystem. And if people get in now, it's the new internet, man. And I'm so stoked to have you on and talk to the people and get a front row seat and watching it get built. So it's an honor having you on, dude.
Thanks. It's been a pleasure, taking this time and, chatting with you and, shilling out Secret Network. I'm also bullish on Secret, obviously. But yeah, like, there are a lot of, projects in the ecosystem that, in the blockchain ecosystem, that, are super promising. And, it's funny how, as this ecosystem has evolved, I think, we're seeing the, top minds sort of, start, migrating into the blockchain space. And there are like so many teams with like, world-class talent, each, working on their own application and, different use cases. And, at the end of the day, these are all sort of like, we're working on privacy, but privacy complements everything in a way. So, I'm like super excited about, a lot of use cases that, push blockchain forward, even if it's not necessarily privacy. And, we're the first ones doing privacy, but I'm also like excited about having, other people enter the space as well. Like, I know I should be all like, fuck Oasis, they suck. But this is such like an early stage of things that, I think the more people are in the privacy ecosystem as a whole, we'll see, people figure out, more use cases and, more applications. And these will be, migrated, copied, whatever from network to network. And, if one ecosystem grows, then, everybody will grow together. So I guess what I'm trying to say is fuck Oasis.
Did you see our man went down for a while?
I'm just kidding.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to save that sound bit.
I knew it. That's gonna be a meme.
Oh man, new NFTs coming right now, straight from Itzik. You mentioned this is your first podcast, but you have done some Twitch live streams. When are we going to see you do some more cool things on live stream?
Damn, man, that's hard because like I wanted to do like so many more live streams, but like when we first started out, it was like super easy because I could just like leak everything out. But like the more the network matured and the more we started working on like more complex things, like doing these streams would also like it became really hard for me to find something interesting for people that wouldn't leak literally everything out or wouldn't give away details that we weren't quite ready to share yet. And also like what I was doing, I was like just like booting up can't remember the software name, but like booting up the stream, it's like screen capturing, whatever I was doing at the time. And it also becomes like a point where I have to, I had to start really being careful about what I was sharing on screen and, making sure that, you don't have any, keys or mnemonics or, anything, anywhere. And at some point, all these things together have just, made me put things off a little bit more. I might, come back and just do like, instead of like, maybe do more sort of hackathon streams where I sort of, put something together super fast and show you guys how easy it is to create oracles for, any network and why the fuck nobody's doing it. And do stuff like that more often rather than come on and show secret network, secret lab specific things, or I don't know, maybe like gaming streams or something like that. But I mean, it's pretty hard. Like I have a hard time focusing on more than one thing at a time. So like playing a game and talking at the same time is gonna be like a hard skill to learn. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's still something I'm thinking of.
We need to set up a network poker event on a secret network poker site, and we all need to stream it. We all need to stream it like a 2-minute delay, so people can't give out the hands. But then we could have competing streams and watch while they take each other down because we have a lot of competent poker players in the ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, Tor is a badass. Like, Tor was like way better than I was. Like, I'd love to, take all his money, but I'm scared. Like, I don't know how that one would go, but it would be really interesting.
All right, let's make it happen. Are you going to be at the event in Miami at the end of the month?
Unfortunately, I will not. I've been to the States twice in almost 1 month, so that's a lot of plane time. So I think we're going to hang back on this one. But I mean, let's see. It's awesome that we have in-person events. That coming back up. After the whole pandemic situation. And yeah, I think we'll have like a ton of conferences all across the world, like coming up over the next year. I think like everybody's going to be like really excited about bringing events back, and as more places open up, we'll see it. We'll see things worldwide, and yeah, like I have I'm fully confident that we'll be able to do the world tour of events. Coming very, very soon.
Dude, that is awesome. Those are all the questions we have for you. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about or any questions you have for us before we go?
Nothing off the top of my head. I think like we talked about everything. So nothing else. I can do like the standard shilling of, follow me on Twitter at CashManny3. Manny with a E instead of an O, because that was taken at some point when I thought of the handle.
Is it an E instead of an A? That was with an
A. An E instead
I'm
of
pulling up your Twitter right now.
I don't know. Eric will drop it at some point. Yeah, honestly, like I'm not super big on social media. Like it's hard for me to maintain that, and think of things to say all the time, and like take pictures of the food I ate. Like I really wanted though, like when I was in New York, I wanted to go to the Wall Street Bull. And I had a privacy hat. I wanted to put it on the bull and take a picture and like bullish on privacy. That would be amazing. But I got there and it was like a 3-hour wait to take a picture with the thing. I was like, nah, it would be cool, but not. I'm just not, it's not worth it for me. So yeah, like you can follow me on Twitter and I'll leak stuff occasionally because it's fun, but yeah, not super big on social media, but hit that like button, mash the subscribe button, hit that bell, follow Eric. He's amazing. This podcast is awesome. You won't believe the amazing guest that he's going to have in the future. Yeah, follow this guy. I'm hoping that's the correct direction on the screen.
Thank you so much, brother. And yeah, he is an excellent follow on Twitter. He and Asaf both, they aren't super active, but when they post something, it's awesome. So you'll get a lot of the best alpha there. But thank you so much for coming on the show, dude. Long episode, so much incredible content. We really appreciate having you on and can't wait to have you back for more awesome stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And take care.
Thank you for deciphering the secret code. For the community, by the community. New episodes every Sunday. Secret Sunday.